It's not really enjoyable to make music now. It takes a lot of time, it takes a lot of practice. You need to get really good at an instrument or really good at a piece of production software. I think the majority of people don't enjoy the majority of the time they spend making music. That's a quote from Mikey Shulman, CEO of Suno, AI music generation tool. Quick review of that quote, bloody hell. G'day mate, and how the bloody hell are ya? Welcome to In the Back of My Head podcast. This is a little creative journal where I ramble on about creativity, clear some clutter from at the back of my head, and hopefully you get a little something out of it as well. Quick note for return listeners that I'm going to change up the schedule, that I'm going to take my time a little bit more to try and up the quality of this thing, so it might not be weekly, it might be fortnightly, it might be monthly, who knows, we're going to take our time with it. But today I wanted to speak on why do we make art? Why do we pursue creativity in any capacity? Why do I pursue creativity in any capacity? For me personally, that's all I can speak to. That's all I can speak to really is just what do I feel? What do I need? What do I want? But I think you'll relate. I think there's some pretty universal needs being met by people when they are being creative. Why do you make art? And in general, why do you do anything in a creative way? Why do you express yourself? Why do you do these things that are not for financial reasons? You're not trying to necessarily build up a career. There is value, deep value, beyond any economical means or reasoning. "2024 was a bloody good year, because all my dreams came true." 2024 for me was a year of trying a bunch of stuff that I've been dreaming about, thinking about for a long time. Finally throwing my hat in the ring, doing the thing, getting it done, taking a shot, and being really quite successful at these things that I was trying for either the first time or experimenting in new territory but in a familiar medium. And I got a lot of praise for these things that I did. I got people telling me, that was bloody brilliant, mate. Well done. Well done you. That was actually well made. That was well presented. In the case of the first one, that was really funny, mate. Since I was a wee lad, ever since I was a dumb little kid running around bumping into trees or grazing my knees and bleeding all over the asphalt in Aussie schoolyards, then I had a dream of being a comedian. At the time, however, I wasn't writing jokes, I was a dumb child. But I dreamt of being a comedian, I dreamt of that level of entertainment, and kind of that old school entertainment of just working a room, being quick, being witty. I don't know if I am quick or witty. But I got a chance. I had a chance to do a 5-minute comedy set. My first ever comedy set. My first ever jokes. I'd never written jokes. And so I fretted, I stressed, I wrote maybe 3 or 4 different sets, and they kind of whittled it down to the one that I wanted, and it was a giant rant about horses. I ranted about horses, about how they freak me out, because they're weird, they're skeletal, and I don't like them. But maybe I actually just deeply relate to them. That was the point of the set, and it fucking killed. People really liked it. And people said, that was brilliant, mate, and you should do more of it. I was like, holy shit. Young Rye would have been so proud. He did the thing. He said he wanted to be a comedian, and now he has technically done it. I know it's only one set. You're not a comedian at one set, but you tried it. You gave it a good red hot go, and you enjoyed it, and you succeeded. And then the desire to do more of it never came. And that's the point of this. That's the point of this little segment here, is that I received the praise. That's usually a huge motivator. When people say, good job, that was bloody brilliant, you tend to want to do more of that thing because you want more praise, you want to feel good. Didn't come. I enjoyed the writing. It stressed the fuck out of me though, but I enjoyed the writing nonetheless. The next one that year was I released some house music. Now, I've been releasing house music for a little while under a few different names, but this time I released it under Wrath, I released it under my normal artist name, and I was rapping on top of it. And I had wanted to do house music with rap vocals inspired by the likes of Channel Trey for quite some time, and I did it, and numerous people said to me, bloody brilliant, mate. You're onto something with this one. This could actually go somewhere. As opposed to the other shit that you fucking make, you dumb cunt. This is actually pretty good. And I was like, okay. There's that praise. No, I still didn't really feel like, I still didn't have that desire, that need to make it again. I kind of was just like, well, I've kind of done that, and I might do that again further down the road, but that desire to make that next thing is not there. And then the final one, at the end of the year, which is probably the one I got the most praise for, and I genuinely feel like I'm pretty bloody good at it. I had several people say to me that, like, if anyone could do that, that would be you, mate. That you are just born for radio. And I did it. I did a 2 hour? Yeah, I did a 2 hour radio set at Triple R. And it involved playing tunes, it involved speaking, I did some research into lyrics and stuff like that. It was bloody brilliant. I had a really good time doing it. And I got a lot of praise. People said that was excellent. The radio station themselves said, I got some detailed feedback saying that was brilliant. Here's the things you can improve on, of course. You know, I'm not saying I just fucking knocked it out of the park. But overall, they were like, that was pretty good. That was pretty good. And I might go back, I might do it again, but bloody hell, I don't have the desire right now to actually do any of that again. Because I kind of did it. And in the case of radio in particular, that is one where the reasoning behind not doing it is because I ask myself the question, what do I have to offer this medium right now? What can I actually give that doesn't already exist? And in the case of radio, like, I really wanted to go down the lyricism route, like just discuss lyrics, which is something that I really want to do. However, at the same time, once I did that radio show, I was like, oh, you know what? I love lyrics so deeply. That's my bread and butter. That's the thing that I want. That's the thing that makes me the most excited. However, at the same time, I've got my little bubble, the few that I know. I have a limited range of artists that I can draw from to discuss deeply, and I could do a lot of research and expand that, yada yada. But I was listening to more and more presenters on Triple R and realizing that, like, these people just live and breathe music. I live and breathe music in a certain way, but not in the same way as like an ongoing DJ. Someone who is super up to date with every single release. They know everything that's happening in the city. They have their finger on the pulse. They're constantly exploring. Their passion is to just find new music. I have that to a degree. I don't think I have that to the same degree that is needed to do a radio show. Not yet. Not yet. If the time comes and if the energy comes, then I will pursue that. I really enjoy it. I think I'm good at it. Right this second, I don't know if I want to do it. But I'm very glad I did do it. I was musing on this for a while. I felt actually a certain guilt, which is a silly, I think, thing to feel in that regard. Because no one cares if you make art. No one cares if you do any of these creative pursuits. I know I'm not, not necessarily comparing making music to presenting a radio show, but there is a creative force there that you have to be. And no one cares if you do it. No one cares if you do any of this. Your friends will say, no, I want you to do, yeah, of course, yeah. At the end of the day, no one really gives a shit. And I don't mean that in a cynical way, I just mean that, like, you need to be the motivator. You have to be the motivator behind this kind of stuff. It's rare that someone's really gonna bloody push you. So it's kind of a funny thing to, like, feel a certain amount of guilt that, like, I did this thing and people said, hey man, that was bloody brilliant, well done. And then I don't really want to do it again. And I feel a guilt behind that. I'm like, well, I put all this time and effort into doing that one, People liked it. I guess I should do more of it. And then up popped this podcast episode with Harry Stebbings. 20VC is the podcast. I don't know what 20VC means. And he was interviewing the CEO of Suno, Mikey Shulman. Suno is an AI music generator, much like ChatGPT, much like Sora, much like whatever. DALL-E, all these things. All these things that generate new creative outputs based on a ocean of input material from other people. We're not going to get into that. That's not the topic of this episode because I've talked about AI plenty, and I'm probably going to talk about it a lot more because it fascinates me and frustrates me deeply. But this one, I want to talk about that particular quote that he made on this podcast, that it's not really enjoyable to make music now. It takes a lot of time, it takes a lot of practice. You need to get really good at an instrument or really good at a piece of production software. I think the majority of people don't enjoy the majority of the time they spend making music. All of that, but especially I don't think that the majority of people enjoy the majority of time they spend making music. So this begs the question of why create, why do anything, why pursue any of these outputs, any of these, be they hobbies, be they careers, be they whatever, but why be a creative? Why make art? And off the bat, to just start this off with, if you don't enjoy the process of making art, and I don't mean making art in general, if you don't enjoy the process of one particular kind of art, then don't do that. Don't do that. A funny and dumb example is that I enjoyed making the image for my last album, this little clay dude. I enjoyed making this little clay dude, this little clay face. It's one of my favorite pieces of art that I have ever made. It's a very weird, strange, particular image that has become my logo, and I adore it. It's the logo of this podcast, and I'm very proud of doing it. I enjoyed the editing side of that piece. I did not enjoy making the actual model out of clay because it's filthy. I hate getting my hands dirty. Now, I suppose in a sense, this could be what he's talking about. That he is saying, oh, okay, so you didn't enjoy making the clay model, but you enjoyed the final output. You enjoyed the process towards the end. You enjoyed the piece that you made, but you didn't enjoy the process of actually getting your fucking hands dirty. Well then, what if we had a system that could generate this little clay model for you, and then you're off to the races, mate? And to that I say, though I didn't enjoy the physical feeling of clay on my fingers, because it really irks me, the fact that I made that guy with my hands is why I love it so much. It gives me so much immense joy that guy is just this weird little thing that I did, and that it turned out the way that it did, and then I managed to get it there through editing to make it kind of look how it does. But yeah, the fact that I made it is really bloody important. Would I do it again? I don't think I'd work with clay again. I'm not interested. But the fact that I did that process is actually integral to the piece. And doing those things that you don't like makes the work deeper than just this, oh, I had this idea and there it is. Oh, it's done. Here we go. I input my idea and now it pops. Cool. That's kind of dull. That's not the thing that I enjoy. I wanted to go through some of the things that I do creatively and actually talk about, like, what part of that do I deeply enjoy? What part of that is actually the reason I still continue to do it? When it comes to music, and again, he says the majority of people don't enjoy the majority of time they spend making music. The reason I make music, the reason I enjoy making music, if I'm actually like sitting down and thinking about what part of this actually makes me excited. Is it the final product? I love when the final product slaps. I love when the final product is good. Obviously, you want it to be good. But the part that is actually exciting, the tail of the dragon that I am chasing every single time that I start to make some music is the exploration, is the flipping a sample, is the discovery of this weird thing, of this synth patch. Then like, oh, whoa, where the fuck did that come from? It's not just that I had this perfect idea and I have to see it realized as I saw it. It's the exploration. It's the uncharted territory. In the case of playing guitar or bass lines, putting on a piece that I've made, having a beat playing and going, okay, now I need to add a little something, and I pick up a guitar and I start to tinker, and then I suddenly, I might hit a bum note. I might hit something that's a bit off, but I go, actually that's interesting. That exploration, that discovery, that sense of discovery is why you're doing it. It's literally the best feeling maybe that I've ever experienced. Not just in terms of making music, it goes for writing, it goes for all kinds of things. That moment of like, what is this? It's stumbling across a cave in the earth of ancient wonders. It's discovering something deeper than yourself. It's discovering some part of the universe that was never meant to be discovered, never meant to be touched by human hands, and you just found it. You go, oh shit, this is cool. What is this? That is such a deep need for human beings, that sense of discovery. And you don't get that when you streamline every aspect of the music creation process, or the art creation process in general. The act of discovery is not the same. And I've used AI. I've used AI. I've used AI in my art before. And the product doesn't feel the same. It doesn't feel the same. When it comes to writing, when it comes to lyrics, that's about messaging. The reason I write is because there is a sense of discovery of finding the way words work together, certain rhythms, certain images that will come to me just by the way certain words kind of click together. That's really exciting. But overall, the lyrics are about putting a message forward. And putting a message forward has to come from my voice. The reason I think writing and lyrics are valuable from every single person. Not everyone can write the same shit. Everyone's voice is unique. You use language slightly different. Everyone has a different language, a slight twist. And writing lyrics and writing poetry, writing short stories, everything like that, even podcasting, even doing this, the part that makes me excited is getting out a certain message, getting out my worldview, taking everything that I see and distilling it down, trying to get it across to you in a way that invokes an emotion or a logical response. Especially in lyrics, it's about trying to get you to understand emotionally where I'm at when I look at the world. And that comes down to your voice, that comes down to the way that you use language, the way that you express yourself. The process of doing that is the fun part. It's not the final piece. It's not the final product that is the part that I'm like, yes! It's actually the discovery. Again, it's the discovery. It's it's that moment of actually sitting there and writing and feeling those words come out of you. That process is the part that keeps you coming back. You don't come back because you did something great. You come back because the process of making that great thing is the thing that you're chasing. It's a moment of stillness. It's a moment of calm. It's a moment of vision. It's a moment of focus that just can't be beat. That stillness is something I want to talk about. Because the majority of people don't enjoy the majority of time they spend working on music. Does that go for art? Does that go for poetry? The thing that I enjoy about art right now, because I've really gotten back into visual art, that's kind of becoming my main focus at the moment, is visual art. And the part that I like about it is the individual moments. It's the stillness. It's the meditative quality of that. It's sitting there and drawing each individual line, one by one, to get the final piece. It is that time. It has to take time. It needs to take time. It's a moment for you to emotionally deeply connect with this piece because it takes time. And when you finally have the product, you're like, this thing is great. It's great because it took a while. It's great because, and it doesn't have to take a while. I'm not saying every piece of music or art or anything has to take a long time. That makes it better. That doesn't necessarily make it better. You can spend years making one thing and for it to be shit in the end. That doesn't matter. However, in that particular case, if you spent years making a thing and you loved every second of the creation process and at the end the piece is kind of shit, you still spent your life doing a thing that you love, enjoying the process. And the piece doesn't matter. Who gives a shit about the final product? We would love the final product to be good. We all want the final product to be great. But if you don't enjoy the process, the long slog of time that it takes, don't make art, mate. So that's me. That's why I create. That's why I make art. I wanted to ask you, why do you make art? I want you to ask yourself, why do you make art? And I thought of a few questions to ask yourself. Why you creative? What is the process? What is happening here? What are you actually trying to do? Where are you headed with this? And you can make art for so many different reasons. That's the other thing. You don't need to be profound. You don't need to just you don't need to even enjoy the process to the same degree as I've talked about. But I would ask yourself these questions to steer you in the direction where you actually want to go. Why do you make art? Do you enjoy the process? And by that I mean, I think to people like session musicians or visual artists who work almost exclusively for other clients. Do you enjoy playing guitar so much that you're just like, I don't really have like a vision of where I want to go. I just want my hands on this guitar playing all the goddamn time. Then become a session musician. Learn your chops, go to school, study that shit, understand, try and be the best goddamn guitar player you can so that you can do it all of the time. You don't need a profound vision of where you're going. You just need to be playing the guitar because you enjoy the process. Why do you make art? Do you have something to add to the medium, to the scene, to the job? In the case of something like radio, do you have something that you think is not being done? Do you see a way that you can add value to the scene? I see that when it comes to artists just kind of copying or just trying to fit into what's already being done. But if you look at the scene and go, oh, I've got something that I don't think is being done, then jump on in. I think that's a good reason to make it because you see something that you think others don't. And why do you make art? Do you have something to say? Do you actually have a worldview that you need to get out, that you need to express, to communicate? I think there are a few key motivators that drive human creativity. And the main one, the primary reason I think that goes for everyone, especially for myself, is curiosity and exploration. Is just being fascinated by your own existence. And I don't mean that in like a selfish sense of like a self-focused way of just like, oh, me. No, looking around the world and just every day you wake up and go, this is crazy. It's not even saying this is brilliant. This is just like fascinating. This is weird. The world's turned to shit at the moment. The world's really in a fucked up state. And yet every day I log on and go, what is all this? This is nuts. I have to know more. Tell me everything. I need to know more. And that goes for the little things. You walk down the street and you see some gorgeous flowers and you go, oh, more of that, please. I want to know everything about that flower. I want to paint that flower. I want to actually understand that flower in a deep way. Do you people watch? Or do you admire a fallen down house as you walk past it? Do you read a history and feel deeply emotional about it? Do you find this deep curiosity in the world around you? Well, then you'll be driven to make art. I think you'll be driven to make art. The curiosity and exploration is, I think, the driving force. And then the other one is communication. Do you have something to say? Do you really have in your heart something you need to say? Then you'll probably turn to art at some stage. Why do you make art? This doesn't have to be a critique of AI, but it is a question I think to ask yourself if you want to make things, if you want to be creative. And I think we all know, I think we can all see it when something is cynically produced, or with the purposes of only making a profit, or garnering attention, looking for fame, looking for fortune. I mean, we complain when movie studios just, cash in, do a cash grab, when every movie starts to feel like a Marvel movie, And I think that's why we rightfully complain about AI when it is used to make something that already exists in a cynical way. It's not based on these principles of creativity, of why we make stuff. If you use AI, it better be through curiosity and exploration. Otherwise, once you've made your money or made your fame, gotten your attention, I think you'll just feel hollow. You might be a little bit richer, but you'll just feel hollow. Because you didn't enjoy the process. You didn't do it for the process. The process is everything. Making art is deeply silly and playful and profound at the same time. You can't be cynical about this. You have to make it because you enjoy the feeling of pencil on paper, or the guitar strings under your fingers, or doing it because you have to get these thoughts out of your head and out of your heart and out of your soul. You have to do it because you want to connect with other human beings on a spiritual level. You have to be honest. You have to be excited. I think my problem with a lot of people in the tech space is that they're deeply cynical about the world and about why people make art. And I think their products are there to solve problems that don't exist. Ask yourself these questions. Why do you make art? If you're just a curious little kid in the schoolyard, just looking around the world and going, bloody hell, I want to know more about this. And I want to express myself. I want to explore just existence, my existence on this planet. Then use whatever tools assist you in that. But at your core, you have to be driven by that. Alright. That's my episode on why do you make art. This has been In the Back of My Head podcast. Episode 77. It's a creative journal where I ramble on about creativity. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope this has made you kind of think about what you're doing, about where you're going next, about why you're doing stuff. And for those who listen, understand that I'm not just trying to be a Luddite who runs away from this new technology, but I want to question at its very core the reason for its existence and the reason for our use of it as creatives. If you enjoyed what I've done, check out my website below where I've got my music and I've got my art and I've got prints for sale and I've got, my Patreon and all that kind of shit. I would love if you could comment or DM me, why do you make art? Give me a little paragraph, give me a couple of sentences, give me one sentence, give me one word. Tell me it's love. Tell me you do it for the love of it, please. Schedule's out the window. I'm not going to do this weekly anymore. I'm going to do this when I feel like it. I've got something in mind. I feel like over the past, 10, 20 episodes, I've really kind of fallen into a bit of a rhythm of just kind of churning out the same stuff, pretty unscripted. And that's fun. People actually kind of engage with that a little bit. Those people I personally know. But again, based on this episode, I don't know if I'm doing it out of curiosity. I'm just kind of rambling on. Now I kind of want to lean into I find a thing and really dive deep into it. So that's what I'm going to try and do. So it might come out every 2 weeks. It might come out only once a month. I'll try and do it more frequently than that. I'll try and throw in, if something's taking a month, I'll try and throw in a rambling one for you. But otherwise, I'm going to take my time with it, go at my own pace. I hope you enjoyed this episode. I hope you're well. I hope you're making art. Catch you next time, mate. I love you dearly.